We see that over the past few years, the adoption of cloud services has increased globally, right? Particularly, we have seen the soaring adoption of the hybrid and multi-cloud service model. So in 2024, right, Frost Sullivan research found out that 40% of the organization or respondents indicating that they see cloud or view cloud along with the AI and the ML as the most important technology to achieve their business priorities, right? As it has driven the adoption of cloud service model over the last few years. The research so that the majority of the respondents have either adopted cloud first strategy or they seen the cloud as the most critical part of their digital transformation journey, and also they also need to require the deployment of the cloud as the cloud or the multi-cloud and also the hybrid cloud strategy ASAP, right? To successfully drive their cloud and so the business strategy. 57% of the business application right now are cloud native. It means that organizations are using more cloud native architectures, technology to build the app. And almost 100% of the application right now, new applications are cloud native. This means that organizations are using the cloud and cloud native technologies, right, is more than ever.
I think the challenge really varies according to the customer maturity level, organization maturity level. For Accro, most of our customers are very large scale enterprises with a very strong presence in the financial industry. So what I see is some are totally not aware. SOC isn't involved. They're thinking that just, widespreading their traditional EDRs on the workloads is going to do the trick. And it's kind of worse than not even understanding that they're not covering and protecting these environments because it's a total blind spot, right? They think they're fine, but really the quality of their detection feed isn't good enough. They're focused on vulnerability management, compliance, all important things, but they're still stuck in that phase, as I like to say. So that's one part. The other organizations that I get to see are actually more mature. They understand that they need to have protection from real-time, like real threats and real attackers, and they're trying to protect from in-memory, rootkits, privilege escalation, all the things that they're used to talking about, but doing this in ephemeral environments where workloads are going up and down. Evidence collection totally changes is difficult. They have to kind of like rethink of their practices and how do they adapt to these changing environments. So just collecting evidence with a container that goes down is an issue, right? Or quarantine, something that SOCs are always accustomed to do. But if you quarantine a container, the orchestration level will just drop it. So I think that requires a kind of change and shift, and they're in that phase very much.
So companies have been going through this, I would say, maturity pyramid in cloud security. They started with like covering the basics, like shift left and, posture. And they now realize like every company that got like a CSPM in 2021, 2024 is now looking for a runtime solution. They kind of like, it's like the maturity, like it's like the Maslow pyramid of needs for humans. So also the same goes for security. But the problem is that when we think about cloud application detection response and attacks on the cloud, some of the fragmentation that we did for posture, even in the teams. So you have like cloud security team, you have application security team, you have infrastructure team, and the attackers. So when you just talk about posture, fixing this, fixing that, making each one as best as possible is great. But once you go into runtime security, the attackers, they don't care, right? They don't care that you have different technology stack, you have the infrastructure, you have the cloud, you have Kubernetes, you have container, you have application. And I think it actually relates to the slide that you shared, which is the attackers, they move across all of that stack layer. And one of the biggest challenges is to get a view that is across those layers because you have different teams and different technologies. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And another challenge is, I would say, seeing the forest from the trees. If I have to kind of like give an analogy, visibility is kind of like commoditized by now. Okay, visibility is easy. I'll show you everything that's happening in your environment. But we are reaching a point where we have so much visibility that we don't see what actually happens. And that's why I think the next phase of cloud runtime security the winners will not be about visibility. It will be about what I like to call explainability. Like, what happened in my environment? Why am I seeing these alerts? And what is the flow that the attacker is going through? And it relates, of course, closely to the fact that you need to see across the different layers.
There is still a pretty significant cloud security knowledge gap in the SOC, where most enterprise organizations actually invested a lot of money and time into building up those cloud security teams which specialize in the cloud, understand their cloud environments, while the SOC has been left behind. During the, I think, past 12 months, what we have seen is that organizations are starting to actually understand that. They have built those cloud security practices to actually harden the environments, and now they are bringing the SOC to those cloud environments.